resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, hello, my next level friend. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Artist Next Level podcast. I am super excited that you decided to join me today because today I'm going to talk about, expanding your exhibition opportunities outside of your country. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I just came back from Mexico City, my friend. Just came back from Mexico City. It was an amazing trip. We had an amazing time. Beautiful weather. When we left Chicago, my wife and my two kids, it was somewhere around 25 degrees. When we arrived in Mexico City, it was around 75 degrees. It was just paradise. It was just beautiful weather. We were really lucky to have an amazing time there in Mexico. It was kind of a mixture of pleasure and work. Although, to tell you the truth, we did more pleasure than work, more vacationing than working. But it still was really, really awesome. So on the way back, yesterday, we were delayed because of a big snowstorm that happened here in Chicago. So we had to delay our trip an extra day in Mexico. And that was just pretty awesome as well. It's one of those things like, we have to catch up and do a lot more work to when we get back here. However, it was really good to stay an extra day in Mexico City. So, my friends, today I want to talk a little bit about this idea of expanding your opportunities, your artistic opportunities outside of your country. Maybe this is something that you've been thinking about. Maybe this is something that you want to do. Maybe something that you have done in the past and you want to revisit or do over again, kind of what's working and what not. Well, we actually, last Saturday, we spent, 4 hours in a workshop in Mexico City with artists from Mexico City talking about this topic, really looking deep into this topic, what strategies, what kind of things to do to really expand of opportunities outside of our own country, right? Outside of our own place. And for me, this is something I have been thinking about for a long time, not only because, in preparation to the talk, but also because myself as an artist, this is something that this year was kind of like the main thing I was focusing on. So, every year I focus on different things. This year, my focus was on really working internationally. And this is not something that I decided to do in January, but rather something that I have been working on for the last 3 years, kind of leading up to 2018. 2018 was really a cool year for me, where as an artist, I was able to start the year with a solo show in the Museum of the City of Cuernavaca in Mexico. Beautiful show based on the idea of immigration and all the different things that are happening at the border of U.S. Mexico. And so this show was featured 3 really large works and about 10 pieces that went to the museum for this solo show. That was like late January, early February. And then after that, 2 months later, I think it was around March, then I had to travel to Romania, my first time in Romania. So all of my Romanian friends, hello, it was just a beautiful country that you have there. I traveled to Romania for a solo show at the Museum of Art of Cluj, in the city of Cluj in Romania. That was a completely different show than the one that went to Mexico. This one was 25 paintings that went to the museum. Three of them which were pretty large, which were made specifically for the show. And it was just an amazing trip. I worked with the curators really hard on this. We met so many beautiful people in Romania. They treated me so nice, such a beautiful place. I want to go back again. And again, this happened kind of still at the beginning of the year. Came back home, and then I had to travel around May time. I had to travel then back to Mexico to another solo show at the Museum of the City of Querétaro, which is a beautiful town in Mexico. Had never been there before. And that was the show that was in the city of Cuernavaca that then traveled to Querétaro, again, the show based on immigration. Another great show there, a museum show. And then in the summer, my show that was in Romania traveled to another museum in Turin, which is the International Museum Italia-Arte in the city of Turin in Italy. And that was the show that came from Romania. So those 4 museum shows that were international shows for me, it gave me like a really hectic 2018. The first half of 2018 was super busy, kind of sending artwork, preparing, contacting the museums, working with so many different people all at the same time. And then I kind of closed the year just with a solo show here at home in Chicago at ACS Gallery. And that kind of wrap up my 2018. So, it was really great for me to go then back to Mexico City just last week and talk to artists down there about, opening for yourself opportunities outside of your country, which is exactly what I had been doing, for the last 3 years to lead up to what I just mentioned, all these events, all these solo shows in museums that happened in 2018. So among the many things that I talk about, one of the things I want to kind of focus on this particular podcast, because I really don't have the time to talk about all the strategies that we discuss in the workshop, which, by the way, I'm planning to make it into a webinar, into an online course so that you can take it if you want to also learn everything that we talk about in Mexico City, which was a great success. But what I want to talk about here on this particular episode is really this idea of a strategic thinking, strategic planning for the future, and which is very important. That's how it all begins. That's how it all starts. For me, 2018 was the result of at least 3 years of work, really preparing the ground, laying the groundwork for the shows that happened this year. These were not things that just happened overnight. It's not like somebody called me and said, "Hey, Sergio, we have a show for you. Send us your work. Opening is such and such." It doesn't happen like that. You really have to work purposely and really think strategically for where you want to be. So this year, for example, because I focus on these international shows, I had already made space in my schedule, in my studio work, and so on, to be ready for what was going to happen here. So when you want to think about international opportunities for your art career, you really have to think about long term. You really have to think about long term, and you have to really be patient. Patience is the key when you are really looking to bring your artwork outside of your country. When you really want to bring your artwork outside of even your state, you're thinking of the logistics of sending your work out internationally. It's a big deal. So you really need to start planning way ahead, even if you don't have the dates yet, even if you don't know what exactly you're going to be pursuing, opportunities or looking for opportunities. You really have to start planning and thinking about it. How? Well, you got to think about your art, right? You really got to think about your work. Starting with, okay, if I were to ship my work, how would I do it? How would I package it? These are things that I've been thinking about for the last 10 years, even before I did these huge shows internationally this year. This is something that I have been thinking about a long time ago. So I, back then, more than 10 years ago, I actually decided that most of my work, at least 90% of my work, was going to be at 42 inches wide. I chose a standard measure of the width of my work that allowed me to, when shipping my work, kind of create my containers or the tubes that I've been using, to the right size, the right measure. I've also been thinking about how my work should be displayed, how my work should be taken care of when traveling, when being somewhere else. What kind of instructions do I need to give to another gallery or curator who's working with my work? These are all things, all little details that you have to think about ahead of time. If I had work that was all different sizes, of all different weights, all different measures, it would have been very hectic, very difficult for me to even put together all these shows simultaneously at the same year. But because I have standardized my production, you just kind of make things a lot easier in terms of the logistics of the work itself. So planning ahead of time is very important. Patience is absolutely, absolutely important. When you're thinking about exploring international opportunities for your art career, you gotta be patient. You have to be patient. That's why, sometimes artists come to me and say, Sergio, I want to show internationally, I think in next year or so, or, the next 6 months, wait up, it's not that simple. It's not that easy. You really have to give yourself 2 to 3 years ahead to be ready, particularly if it's your first time. Give yourself time to understand packaging, how to package your art, how to ship your art, what kind of things you need to ship internationally, because every country is different. In some countries, when you're going to ship your work outside of your country, you have to go to your local arts and culture office, and then you have to kind of register your art before it goes out. Every country is different. I don't know where you are in the world, but you need to find out what is it that you need if you're going to ship your art internationally. What are the regulations that you need so that you don't have trouble later on when opportunities come your way. So you got to think about those things, my friend, because those are things that really can hinder you in the process. As you plan and as you're strategically thinking about the future, you also got to think about, not only the logistics of how am I going to package my work, how is it going to be displayed and so on, but also, how far do I want to go? How far do I want to, go with this work? Am I just looking at opportunities kind of outside of my city? Am I looking at outside of my state, maybe, or my region? Or am I really looking outside into other countries or outside of a different continent, which is even far away? If you're in the United States, it's one thing to, let's say, send artwork to Mexico, but it's a different thing to send it all the way down to Chile or to send it to Europe or Asia. All these different places, demand different also ways in which you need to be ready. So how do you get ready for opportunities? Well, once you feel that this is your time to start looking, start knocking doors, start thinking strategically about it, one of the, I share many strategies in Mexico, but one of the ones that I really want to focus on the next few minutes is on one that I think is very, very important, and that is what we call relational capital. Right here in the Next Level and all the courses that we do, we call this relational capital. Relational capital, my friend, is really about connecting with people and working with people, because you just never know how one relationship might lead to something, to an opportunity. And if you're looking at having or looking for opportunities internationally, you have to connect with people outside of your country. There's no other way to do it. You have to connect with people outside of where you are, outside of your country. Now, there's different ways to do it. One is you can travel, and that, of course, will be the awesome one where you can, if you can travel, do it. And I say this because this might seem like, what, seriously, no, that's almost impossible. However, anytime that you go somewhere, whenever you travel, even if it's vacationing, you should always be connecting with people. Whenever I travel, doesn't matter where I go, I like to look at, what is happening in town. Are there any openings that I can attend? Are there any art events that I can go to? I went to Mexico, for last weekend, and we went to an opening. We met some nice people there as well. We didn't plan it. We found out about the opening, the same day, actually, last Friday when we were in Mexico City. So, whenever you go, whenever you travel, always make a point to check out the local art scene. And when you do that, you also see if you can connect with at least one or two people. Maybe is the person behind the desk. If you visit a gallery, you start a conversation. Maybe you exchange a business card. Maybe somebody who's working there at the gallery or so on. See, maybe you can exchange a card or so. Maybe if it's an event, an art event like an opening or something, maybe you start chatting with a person, and maybe that person is a local artist, and then maybe exchange cards, and you just never know, who can be or who can become kind of your ally from far away, who can help you find opportunities there. And then you can help that person also find opportunities for them where you are at. That's how this whole thing happens. It's exchange of ideas, exchange of information. So what's one way to do it is actually going there and visiting and connecting with people in person. Of course, that's always the best way. In my experience, that's the most rewarding way, because you connect with the person. If there's chemistry, it makes things easier. You can collaborate a lot easier. You can talk about ideas and so on. And it's just great when you can do it in person. But it doesn't always have to be done in person, particularly because, of course, traveling around the world is not something that everybody has access to. So how do you do it outside of, going in on the flesh around the world and connecting with people? Well, we have something today that we didn't have, just 15, 20 years ago. That's called the internet, right? It's called the web. It's called also social media. And when we use it correctly, you can really use it as a tool to connect with people in the other side of the world. So how you do that in a practical way? Well, one way in which you can connect with people using social media is really by following people that you find across, that you come across through your social media. For example, if you find an artist that, let's say you are in United States and you're looking for opportunities in Italy, well, maybe start looking for galleries and artists, curators, art writers, art professionals in Italy. And, you can do that with hashtags. How do I do that, Sergio? Well, you can go to Instagram, for example, and use the hashtag Italian artists, and, Milan artists, Turin artists, Rome artists. Use combination of hashtags. Start finding people that you might want to connect with. And then you can start sending them a direct message. And in a direct message, you're not going to say, hey, I'm looking for a show, or help me find a show. That's not how you do it. That's not how it works. You have to come in and introduce yourself. Say, hey, I'm an artist from the United States, and I just want to connect with you. I love the work that you're doing. Give them a compliment on the work that they are doing, and start conversations. And that's why I say for this, you have to be super patient. You have to think long term. And you have to go at it not looking at what this person can give me, but also what can I offer this person to, right? How can I help this person to? Is there an opportunity that maybe I'll hear about at some point, and maybe I can share it with this person or with this group of people that I've been purposely connecting with? That's how you do it, my friend. And what I found is when you are willing to help others, when you're willing to give and to share, you will receive also the same thing. When it's your turn, then others will be more than willing to give you opportunities to share with you other opportunities that might be happening in their neck of the woods. So this is something that you can do. It doesn't cost any money. It just costs time. It's just your time, your effort of connecting with the person on the other side. And what happens is when you started doing this, sometimes, you might find receptive people, and sometimes you may not. Sometimes you may find people who are, very open and want to have conversations, and you will find people who just don't answer your messages, and that's okay. That's going to happen. You cannot force yourself into somebody else's life. If there's no chemistry, if there's no connection, there's no point of departure, just let it be. Just move on. But very important, again, if you're looking for opportunities outside of your country, you need to connect with people outside of your country. That has to happen. It's a requirement for being on the other side of the world, is to connect with people on the other side of the world, right? Don't just wait for them to find you. Maybe some of them will find you, and that is great, but it doesn't happen all the time. And even if they find you, doesn't mean that you're gonna have stop being proactive. You can still be proactive, and still trying to find those connections, those opportunities to connect with people. Now, it doesn't mean that every connection that you make is going to lead to something. Some of them don't lead to anything other than a wonderful friendship. And that is great. That is wonderful. We all need friends. We all need to connect with each other. And that is wonderful. I have done many things with many people that we're just friends and that's it, nothing has happened. And that's fine. And just because nothing has happened now doesn't mean that nothing's going to happen, in the future. You just never know. There are sometimes relationships that, take years before something happens, which in my case, that has been the case totally. When I look at each and every opportunity that was presented to me in 2018, it was the result, again, of connections that I had done in previous years. And one conversation led to another, that at the end of the day, they became amazing museum solo show opportunities for me in 2018. But again, this is something that I have been thinking about for many years and putting the seed out there, and then just going about creating contacts, creating relationships, connecting with people, creating contacts, relationships, connecting with people outside of the country. And that has been, for me, really, really one of the main reasons why this year for me was so heavy and so successful in terms of the traveling exhibitions that I had in all these different countries. And, in the previous years, I've also, been proactive in that sense. And sometimes you start with a small, show. Maybe you participate in a group show, or maybe you are invited to participate in a small project. And sometimes those little things lead up to bigger things in the future. So don't feel bad if, you start with just little opportunities, because little opportunities are sometimes necessary to find the bigger ones. It just they give you a little bit of more confidence. They give you also more strategic thinking. They give you open doors that you can then, take and find better opportunities. They give you opportunities to connect with more people. So, all that happens because you are connected. You are connecting. And not only you can do this through social media, but you can do it also through website, through the internet, through Googling. Perhaps there are organizations that you may be passionate about, who may be also in other parts of the world that maybe you may be interested about. So go to their websites, connect to them, contact them, find out who they are and what they do, and if they have any opportunities for exhibitions or for artists to go there to do a residency. There's all kinds of opportunities that you can look into. Not only solo shows, there are residency programs, there are experimental spaces, there are co-op spaces, there are commercial galleries, there are all kinds. The list is long of opportunities that you can look at when it comes to finding opportunities for your art career. So my friend, in a nutshell, in this episode, to wrap it up, what I want to say is, after coming back from beautiful Mexico City, I want to say is, if you are looking to find and further find opportunities for your art career outside of your country, you have to be proactive. You have to strategically think about the future. You have to strategically think about connecting with people outside of your country using the social media platforms that you have. Anytime that you travel anywhere, connect with people, exchange cards, and most important, you be the one who is proactive in connecting. You be the one who follows up. A lot of times people exchange a card and say, well, this person never called me back. Well, but what did you do? If you are only just waiting for people to contact you, what if you are the one who is proactive? What if you are the one who, the next day sends a quick thank you message? It was really nice meeting you. Boom. Now I'm following you on Instagram. Boom. Oh, hey, now I found you on Facebook. I'm going to start a quick conversation on Messenger. How's your day going? I saw that you had an opening last week. How did it go? That's what you do. That's how you create relationships. You never go and say, hey, I'm looking for a show. Can you help me? And I get a lot of emails like that, messages all the time. People that I don't even know, people that I just met maybe once, and they're already asking for stuff. That's not how it works, my friend. If you really want to find great opportunities for your career, you got to put up the work. You got to be proactive. You got to go at it with a spirit of giving, not only of what's in it for me. Being honest, being truthful, create honest relationships, and they will help you get to great and amazing places in your art career. So hope you enjoy, my friends, this episode. If you want to check out all the resources, particularly right now we're doing the Art Business Bootcamp, which is totally free. Go to our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com. Check out the bootcamp, sign up for it. It's amazing. Over 3,000 artists have taken our free online bootcamp, and you can still sign up for that. Just find the tab in our website, the little graphic that says Art Business Bootcamp. And if you want to check out our library of resources, you want to check out our membership site for artists, where we help you get ahead in your art career. We help you take your art career to the next level. Check that out too. Everything is on our website, and you can really access all the amazing and wonderful resources that we have for your art career. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my podcast, and I will see you, my friends, in the next episode of the Artist Next Level podcast. Thank you, my friends. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.